that she's won this time?
It's the nature of the nature of marginal seats, and B, it's the nature of politics. That, as Paul Keating says, very few people get to choose the way in which they leave. They leave Parliament. It's the risk you take. When you are coming into an election with 13% unemployment, you will find that you will be held to account, whether it's your fault, whether it's not. The whole business of being in politics, the whole business of being a member of Parliament is to provide jobs and futures for your people. Singularly, with the unemployment rate in Townsville is unacceptable, and I pay the price for that.
And the party, the LNP, has flagged possible action in the Court of Disputed Returns, and Ian McDonald says that he would be urging the party to take that action. Will you be, I think it's up to you to decide whether or not that will happen. Will you take it to the court?
I think the party owes it to our supporters and to the nearly 40% of people that did vote for us. We won the first past the post vote quite comprehensively. We lost it on preferences. I think we owe it to the party and we owe it to the people of Townsville to see if we can get a voice in government. It's important that we are in government. It's to be in opposition is one thing, but to be in government with Malcolm Turnbull as the Prime Minister, I think, is a very important thing.
So
the decision on whether we mount a court challenge to the Court of Disputed Returns is a decision of the party, but I would be agreeing with it if we did take it to the Court of Disputed Returns. 37 votes, a number of anomalies in the count that we believe that would mount a significant challenge and would mount a reasonable request to the court to sit there and say a new election should be held.
So if you're urging the party to then take it to the Court of Disputed Returns, when do they make that decision, if they will or not?
As soon as humanly possible.
Would that be?
Well, it's got to be inside 40 days.
And then, in the meantime, Cathy O'Toole, she's able to get on with her job?
Very much so. She's the member for Herbert. She's the member for Herbert. As soon as the seat is declared, we'll be leaving here now, and we'll be going cleaning up the office and making it as easy as possible for her to transition into the role. Yesterday I spoke to her and I wished her all the best. Told her it's the best job in Australia, representing this city, and she's looking forward to it. So we've just asked for a little bit of patience to make sure that we can exit the place and leave it as neat and tidy for her as possible coming in, and we'll move on.
So what's the process from here on in? Obviously the LNP would need to lodge its petition with the Court of Disputed Returns within 40 days from when the writs are returned. But from here on in, what's the process?
I think you better direct those questions to the LNP's legal counsel. I haven't got the faintest idea. I'm just a member of Parliament who's just gone through this. It's been quite a tough experience. It's been a nerve-wracking for everyone involved, both Labor and Liberal, to be through this count. It's taken its toll on my staff and my family, and I think what we want to do here is just cut that cord, get out of the office and get on with our lives. Any of those sorts of things should be directed to the LNP.
And how is the investigation going into the reports that some people may not have been able to vote in Herbert?
Again, I think those are the things that must be handled by the LNP. We have our counsel in there that believe that we have a case, that they are gathering statements and that sort of thing, but those sorts of questions should be answered by the LNP.
So just a second, Ewan, can you move to the right a little bit? We've just got cameras.
Goes up the sun?
Yeah.
Are there other avenues of action you could take?
I've got no idea. All those questions about the Court of Disputed Returns should be directed to the LNP and to our legal counsel. I think those are the sorts of people that can actually make those decisions. In
the meantime, with Cathy taking victory in the seat, what does that mean for the government having such a slim majority?
It means it's tight, but I mean, as I said in one previous press conference, the Cowboys won the premiership last year by 1 point. You're still the premiers. We won the election by one seat in the House of Representatives. We're still the government. There's been lots of things done with very small majorities. But John Howard after the 1998 election. Malcolm Turnbull is a fantastic Prime Minister. He will do a great job in this role. It is about making sure that we are a team, about making sure that we are in that space to ensure that we are doing the right thing by the party and doing the right thing by Australians. And I think when your backs are to the wall, the only way you've got to go is go forward, and I think that's when you find your boldest decisions. And that's when you find that your passion for the role and your passion for the thing is what's going to make Malcolm Turnbull a great Prime Minister of Australia.
Is that concerning though for the government though, because it does make the government job much harder with decisions to be made? Is that concerning for them knowing that they're just that one seat off having a bit more power?
I think so. I think everything's hard in government. Everything is hard work in government. It just makes you look that little bit harder. I don't think you can underestimate the work ethic and the commitment of people like Christopher Pyne to make sure the Parliament works, to make sure that that each minister is on top of their job there. I think they've got a great front bench. We've got a great front bench. Or Malcolm Turnbull has a great front bench, and they've got a good leadership structure. When you have these situations, and in every role, when you are down on staff, when time is coming, when time is and money is short, that's when every business must knuckle down and figure it out, and that's when government must do it. I don't think there's too much to worry about being able to get our agenda through, because I think what we've got there is a very good agenda. I think what Malcolm Turnbull did was went to the people and laid out his agenda. We've got the victory. It's a matter of making sense with the crossbench and dealing with the Senate and making sure that we get those things through. It is all the sales process, and you won't find anyone better at it than Malcolm Turnbull. I think he's going to be very good at this role.
And so you've obviously spoken to the Prime Minister about Cathy's victory and obviously movements forward for the party. What was the correspondence with him like?
I think Malcolm Turnbull has always been a fantastic supporter of me. We're very, very different people, but we get on very well. He appointed me as one of the whips, and he sees the value I add in the party and in the party room. He's always been supportive of me and my style of politics and that sort of thing. He calls it a breath of freshness, or just a view slightly kilter to anything else. What we must do is make sure that he's given me every support to get all the way through. I can't tell you the number of parliamentary colleagues I have had wishing me all the best here. It just goes to show that we are in fact a team, and all the little spats you see in the press are all window dressing. When it gets down to it, they all want everyone in that place to succeed, and I think that's the most important thing here.
And how do you feel like Cathy's going to work with the Prime Minister to deliver some of the election promises for the seat of Herbert?
Well, I think Cathy O'Toole's got one election promise, which is the stadium, which we matched. My biggest fear for Townsville is about jobs. I think what we have with the government is a commitment to drive it forward, and I think having been in opposition, we were able to deliver the Magnetic Island Walkway from opposition, and that was one of the very few things that anyone was able to do in opposition. What Cathy O'Toole has to do is make sure that she is preparing the ground for when she eventually gets to government. It's very hard from opposition, and I don't envy her task. To be in government is a very big thing. You have access to ministers, and she'll have very little access to anyone.
What's your next steps now? Are you going back to the office today? Or?
We'll go and clean up the office, and I've got to mow the lawn. That's the big one for me. So I owe my family a lot. I want to go home and tell them I love them, and we'll have some quiet time to ourselves. Okay.
And you, in the next few months, do you have any plans?
No.
Just relax.
Cheers.
For the Court of Disputed Returns, apparently.
Well, no, I don't have anything to do with it. So that's up to the LNP. We'll go through the processes there. We owe it to our people. We owe it to our supporters to make sure that in a victory that is this close, that we have done the right thing by our supporters. And I think people like Ian McDonald, who apart from one day when he was in hospital, was at the count every day. I think it's really important that we support our people, and that we do leave no stone unturned to make sure that we do have a voice in government in Townsville. Okay, thanks very much, guys. Cheers, eh?
Okay, so that was live from Townsville in North Queensland. The former member for Herbert, Ewen Jones, conceding defeat. Labor's Cathy O'Toole taking the seat by 37 votes on a recount. But there had been suggestions of a possible legal challenge, and Ewen Jones confirming there that he's keen to see it go to the Court of Disputed Returns. But he points out that that's ultimately a decision for the party. Now, it's the final day of the 2016 Garma